How serious are the regime in Tehran about killing this thing stone dead?
It is sadly fascinating because it's no longer just the regime directly. It's actually, I know it's not real democracy, but it's still their parliament legislating, legalizing genocide. So on the one hand, you say, "Oh, impressive that because they don't have to bother with that." But they've essentially the MPs got together with an open letter. They're not necessarily sentencing the current 15,000 political prisoners. They're basically legalizing the mechanism to do any of them that they want, but also beyond that, anyone who gets arrested today or tomorrow. But that's actually a sign of weakness, that they're losing control. Some people just see it as, oh, that's very proactive. That means they're in control. They are crushing the rebellion. But actually, it's not. It's actually a sign of weakness.
When I think back to the Shah's last days, I remember Jimmy Carter refusing to sell the Shah rubber bullets because he'd been using them on the crowd. These guys are using real bullets, and they've already killed like over 300 people.
Yeah, and I mean, don't get me started with Jimmy Carter, because there was a reason he was doing that. He betrayed the Shah. And then there were evidence that came out after 20, 30 years that the CIA was partly, some of them, training the Ayatollahs to actually go back. And France...
Yeah, I mean, the CIA gets everything wrong. I remember them toppling
it's not even new anymore,
King Farouk in Egypt under the name Operation Fat Bleeper. I mean, that's how sophisticated the CIA are. They're tourists in every part of the world.
Yeah, but again, the main point was that towards the end, the Shah actually stopped, and he said, "Stop killing," and he actually said, "I'm going to go away. I'm going to take a break," and that was actually, it ended up being a bad strategy, because that meant that they just basically took over and occupied. That's why Iranians call the current regime Islamic occupation. And it's quite interesting.
But are you surprised, for example? Joe Biden is all palsy-walsy with Tehran again after Trump said he didn't like the Iran deal and it was off. Are you surprised at the way Biden and the European Union still cozy up to these guys? Yeah,
I mean, they're still backing the regime, and it's quite interesting that you've seen Justin Trudeau, his government, until literally 2 weeks ago, allowing the Islamic regime's relatives and families to flee. A lot of them already decided to flee to Canada. Under pressure, his government came and said, "Okay, we're going to stop it now." He even attended, Justin Trudeau, one of the marches. And same in Germany. Germany came out like, "Well, sanctions, we're going to go to the European Union, get the MEPs." But then it just came out that the Germans are still doing deals and negotiating with the Iranian regime. Like, so it's all for show, right? You're not actually doing anything about it, right?
Don't you get sick of it when they're actually, as we said, this is a women's revolution.
And
basically, it's women who do not want to wear Islamic body bags every time they step out of the house. Why can't Western liberals get behind that?
Because it's awkward. It's politically incorrect. They don't want to offend the male people who are here from the Islamic world, because they think, well, if we support the women in Iran, that means we're going to offend some Muslims, for example. I mean, it's led by and sparked. It started with the women and then children. So Generation Z in Iran are more pro-freedom than in the West. But it's actually the widespread. The uprising is basically a cost of living crisis / just sick and tired of tyranny. And the interesting thing about this whole situation is that today, tomorrow and Thursday, there's an operation. They call it Reclaim the Capital. And so people basically have been obviously seeing the clips and everything. So I actually tweeted the video on Twitter just now, but obviously we're in the green room. And for the first time, soldiers and security forces, a number of them refused to follow orders, government orders, to shoot and kill, and then protesters went and gave them flowers, red roses. So it's the same thing happened in 1979 towards the end. And protesters were like, give flowers to the soldiers. So you can see some similarities finally. The snowball has started.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. That in fact, it may simply be that it's too exhausted, and the men required to enforce the tyranny no longer are willing to do so.
Exactly, and they've actually been more vocal. The pro-freedom revolutionaries essentially collectively have already announced that they are boycotting the Qatar World Cup for 2 reasons. One, Qatar tyranny. Second reason, the Iranian football team that are still going, people are disappointed, saying they are not representing the nation, they're representing the regime. And Iran is in a group with England and USA. They said they're going to support England and the US against Iran and to send a signal.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, because England shouldn't be going anyway. Nobody should be playing football in this tyrannous state.